Hi everyone, today I'm going to be doing a review of the Eachine QX95 micro FPV racing drone sent to me by Banggood. It comes in this nice little box, and when you open it, the first thing you notice is a very nice full color manual. So let's have a look at this manual here. Details about the battery, your 5.8 gigahertz FPV camera settings, how to bind with the FreeSky receiver or the FlySky receiver or the DSM receiver. So it's whichever receiver that you choose to receive it with. And then finally some details about this really neat LED strip that it has on the back. I'm going to show you later. And then of course a flight controller. So if you notice, this flight controller that they provide in the QX95 is actually a hex flight controller. So you could repurpose it and build a brushed hexacopter. It's really cool. So I'll show you that later also on the quadcopter. So what's inside the box? Let's have a look. Okay, it comes set in this really nice cutout foam. There's two spare 8.5mm motors, clockwise and anti-clockwise. That's going to be very handy if we need to replace any motors after a crash. Here's a 600 milliamp battery, a balanced charging cable so you can charge two batteries at the same time with your hobby charger. Just plug that into your balance port. Some Velcro to stick the battery underneath the frame. A USB charger. Some spare propellers. And this tool to pry off propellers if you need to change propellers, and it's cut out of carbon fiber. And finally, it's the quadcopter. It's probably easiest to push it down and out of this cutout foam. And so here it is. This is what it looks like. The QX95. They give you two batteries, so that's very nice for this kit. Two 600 milliamp batteries. So here's the all-in-one FPV camera. Looks very similar to the Eachine TX01 and TX02, but this is 25 milliwatt as well, and it comes with the flexible circular polarized antenna. So this will, probably stand up a little better to crashes, because it's got a little bit of give here, a little bit of flexibility to it. And I noticed that the antenna is longer than what they give you with the TX01 and TX02. So 8.5mm motors, and the propellers look very similar to Hubsan propellers. They're not exactly the same, and they seem a little bit more flexible than the Hubsan propellers as well. So in my experience, if the propellers are not stiff enough, they're not going to provide as much thrust as propellers that are stiffer. So we'll just have to see how these fly, and then maybe swap in some Hubsan propellers and see if they perform better. The propellers seem like they could be improved in terms of quality. There's plastic sticking out here from the molding, from the injection molding process. So these are definitely not the highest quality propellers. And if you're like me, I have a lot of spare propellers, and I like the Hubsan type. They're the most efficient. So let's look at the frame. It's an all carbon fiber frame, and it is two 2 mm thick carbon fiber, so that's going to be very strong. As you can see, these, you know, the arms, because of the way they cut them, they're actually very, very thin here. This is only, let's see, it's only 2, yeah, it's only 2 mm thick here as well. So 2 mm thick and 2 mm thick here like this. But if I try to bend it, it feels really strong, you know. So even though it looks weak, it seems strong. So it just remains to be seen how well it's going to stand up to crashes. The other thing I noticed is that the cutting of the carbon fiber to make this frame could be improved as well. You know, that you can see strands of carbon fiber sticking out here, and compared to other carbon fiber frames that I've bought, the quality of this cutting can definitely be improved a lot more. So it looks like there's, let me see if I can remove this motor a little bit here. Yeah, so it looks like it's rubber grommets that are holding this motor in place here. And one area of concern is that when you land, you're going to be landing on the battery that sits underneath here. So I think what I might do is, oh, I can't. I thought I could push these motors down and then put some heat shrink on the bottom here as feet, to serve as feet, but the propeller is going to touch the propeller is going to hit the camera if I do that. Okay, so I guess I'm just going to have to fly it the way they designed this. Alright, so they call it the QX95, so let's see if it's really 95 millimeters diagonally from motor to motor. So it's 7 cm from the left front motor to the right front motor, and it's also 7 cm from the right front to the back front. So the motors are in a symmetrical X configuration, even though the frame doesn't look like it's an X configuration, but the motors are spaced in a square. So if it's 7 mm and 7 mm, then it's definitely more than 95 cm diagonally. So, and there you go, it's not 95, it's about 98 millimeters. So it's a minor detail, but you know, if you're experienced in this hobby, you know that the frame size is also going to dictate what size of propellers you can spin here, depending on the clearance, whether or not both propellers are going to clear or not. So anyway, I think 100 mm diagonally is the size of frame you want, sort of the smaller size of frame you want to be able to spin or to put on gem fan 65 mm motors, propellers here. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that. Okay, let's look at the flight controller. As you can see here, there's this spot here that says M6. So this is true enough a hexacopter flight controller that's just waiting to be repurposed into a hex frame. But hex FCs can easily be configured to fly as a quadcopter. That's all done in clean flight. So where this is your USB port right here at the back. I'm not sure if this standoff is going to get in the way from plugging in your USB cable. I'll have to try that later, but that's where you would plug in your USB cable so that you can make any adjustments you want to clean flight. It's supposed to be configured so you can fly right out of the box. they tell you in the manual how to bind your transmitter to it, and you should be able to arm the motors and start flying immediately without having to do any configurations. I don't know how well the PIDs are tuned on this. I'm not very experienced with tuning PIDs, but I'm going to have to explore that when I test fly this and see if it might need some tuning to improve the flight characteristics. So it says here on the bottom, I don't know if you can see very clearly, but it says here V2.0 F3 EVO brushed on the flight controller. And finally you can see the little DSM receiver underneath this top plate here. And the last thing I want to talk about is this really cool LED strip. And this is something that I have not seen before on any other quad, brush quad. So I think this makes this QX95 quite unique. So there you go, it's really bright. And what happens is when you give stick input to this quad, so if you roll to the left, these two LEDs are going to blink a different color, and then if you roll to the right, these two are going to blink a different color. And then when you pull back, if you pull back just a little bit, it's going to go solid orange color. I don't know whether it's orange or red, but it looks orange to me when I looked at it. And then if you pull full back, it will flash orange. And so I'm sure this is to signify, or at least to alert people flying behind you that you're braking. I'm not sure how important all of this is when it comes to FPV racing. It might be, but I would assume that you would be so focused on flying your own line through the course that it wouldn't matter so much whether or not you know the person in front of you the quad in front of you is braking or not. But these are definitely bright enough that you will see whoever it is that's in front of you. And the question I have is, with 4 really bright LEDs like this, what kind of power consumption they have, and how much that's going to reduce your flight time. It's definitely going to reduce your flight time, that's for sure. So it'd be interesting to experiment of flying this with and without the LED strip, and seeing how much extra flight time you get. So that's the QX95, and I'm going to be rolling some test flight footage after this. So thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Oh, one last thing. Let's weigh this quadcopter and see how much it weighs. $39 grams exactly. So that is a pretty good weight. As lot for an 8.5 millimeter brushed motor FPV quadcopter. Anything under 40 grams without a battery, I would consider a respectable flying weight. And what that means is that you're gonna get fairly good flight performance out of the quadcopter, because it's light enough that your thrust to weight ratio is going to be roughly 2 to 1. So the lighter you can get the quad in terms of all up weight with the battery, the better it's going to fly. So if let's see what these 600 milliamp batteries weigh. 15.7. So that's that's actually that's a very good weight for a 600 milliamp battery. I'm not really sure if these are really 600 milliamp. We'll have to compare them. I fly with 500 milliamp nanotech batteries and also the 600 milliamp nanotech batteries. The the 500 milliamp nanotech battery weighs 15 grams, so this is just 0.7 grams heavier, and it's got 100 milliamp more in terms of capacity, so that's pretty good. So it looks like Eachine has created yet another very nice hobby grade brushed FPV quadcopter. So let's take a look at the test flight footage. Okay, here I am flying in the space between these buildings, and one thing you'll notice is the QX95 is not flying in a straight line, or not tracking a straight line very easily. So I'm having a lot of trouble controlling it, and this is in level mode or angle mode. It flies very fast, but I'm having quite a bit of trouble getting it to go exactly where I want to go. So in the next video, I'll be flying it with Betaflight flashed onto the flight controller, and the PIDs increase slightly. So you'll see a big improvement in that. The other thing I want to point out is the camera. In this video, the camera seems to be performing quite well, because I guess the space is very evenly lit. There's not too much difference between the brightness of the sky and the ground, because there isn't a lot of grass. You'll see a very big difference and some pretty poor performance in the next video. So here I am flying in this big open field, and the first thing you'll notice is the camera has this tunneling effect where, you know, there's these black it's like a black circle around it or something. So anyway, this most likely has to do with the contrast between the bright sky and the grassy field that you know, it's darker than the sky is. So the camera is just having so much trouble adjusting. So when I fly under the trees, it's probably when the camera does best, but you know, once I'm outside, or once I'm out from under the trees, the performance of the camera is just really bad. So I don't like this camera. I definitely don't recommend it. The QX95 flies very fast. The motors that come with it are very, very fast. I don't know what brand of motor they're using, but I like them a lot. I'm very impressed with it. So I noticed Banggood is selling these motors as spares. You can buy them, just search on Banggood for QX95 motors, and you can get them for, I think, $2.99 each. So I highly recommend them. One other issue I notice is that the DSM receiver that I have with this QX95, I chose the DSM version, and the little DSM receiver that they include with it sometimes just cuts out. So I would be flying the quad, and then all of a sudden I would lose complete control. So it'll just stay locked into, you know, whatever the last position it was, and you just fly until it crashes. Very unusual and a little scary. So I think I might just change that DSM receiver to a Lemon RX diversity satellite, which I've had very good experience with. So keep that in mind if you're going to get the DSM version. And the last thing you'll notice is the quadcopter is flying very well now. I can control it and have it go where I want, hit small gaps, and that's because I flashed it with Betaflight, and the latest version of Betaflight, and increased P and D slightly. So I'm going to leave you with the rest of the video, and thanks for watching this review, and see you again soon.
sky.